well as some big changes that are on the way, especially for west central and southwestern Montana. So if you can give me about 30 seconds to a minute, we'll get started in full with this update. And in the meantime, I'll show you what those conditions are looking like across the area, and I'll try and get this in a slightly better position as well. So give me just a minute, and I will be back, and we'll get started momentarily. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. As you're tuning in, certainly let us know where you're watching from, and I was going to say, what kind of conditions are you seeing outside? I think most areas are just kind of hazy right now, but I guess a better question would be are you ready for the smoke to clear just a little bit, and are you ready for a little bit of rainfall? Or would you prefer us to just be looking at sunny skies and no smoke and no rainfall? Feel free to answer that in the chat section, and then if you have any questions or comments as we go throughout this, feel free to ask those as well. Checking one last thing, and I think we are in good shape. So I say with that, let's get fully started in this update, and there will be more information with some of this as we go into our live broadcast at 10 o'clock. There will be a little bit less information on certain things as well. So I'm going to go more into depth about the wildfires that we've seen across the region, some of the acreage and such. We'll only touch on a couple of those later on this evening. But with that, let me flip this back around and we'll get fully started. So thank you again for tuning in this evening. Hope it has been a very nice Tuesday for you. So here's a look at the map showing the wildfires across the area. A couple bits of good news. We've seen the McAllister fire drop off. That has been fully contained at this point. So while the fire isn't going to be an issue, we could actually see a bit more of an issue around that fire when it comes to the rainfall that we're going to see, but more about that here in just a few minutes. And actually, it's looking at the McAllister fire, it isn't fully contained yet, but it has been pretty much knocked down in its entirety. But in our region, we'll start down here towards the West Fork fire. We're still sitting at roughly 850 acres on this fire north of West Yellowstone. Both the Bivens Creek and Cloud Rest fires are over 2,000 acres. The Cloud Rest just over 2,600 acres. We have started to get a bit of containment on these particular fires. We're up over 40%, not on both of them, but both of them together. So roughly 12 and 30, about 10 and 35%. So 10% on Cloud Rest, 35 on Bivens Creek on those containment values. Rolling north right now, and actually even in comparison, let me check one thing to the McAllister fire. The new largest fire in western Montana is actually the Windy Rock fire. That is now burned over 3,600 acres. It and the Knolls fire are both very close. Okay, so Knolls is actually the largest up here. Windy Rock is the second largest at just over 3,600 acres. The Knolls fire is just under 3,800 acres. So we're looking at those two. Those two being our largest fires, followed up by Cloud Rest and Bivens Creek. And then we get a little bit further north. We've got the Sandbar 2, which is just over there to the east of Lincoln, closer to Rogers Pass. That's sitting at just under 250 acres. This fire is actually out. The Bada fire, I just didn't remove it, but that one is out. Corral Creek here west of Missoula is over 360 acres. It's seen a little bit of growth over the last little bit, but it's just very slow outside of those first few days. Then we get up again into the Knolls fire, mile marker 91 fires. Those two combined are sitting just about 4,000 acres. The Knolls is the majority of that, just under 3,800 acres. Cub Creek, right here north of Lookout Pass, this is sitting at just about 10 acres. It's just shy of that. And there is also another fire closer to Lookout Pass as well, but that's less than 5 acres, so it's a pretty small fire going on there. Further north, we've got the South Meadow Creek fire, which we've been talking about for a while, and it has not changed, fortunately, for a fair bit. That's sitting at about 62 acres. And the Ransom fire north of Libby, which continues to be somewhat active, we're looking at that at just under 475 acres up there. Moving back over here to the east, we've got Squeezer Creek and the Pot Mountain fires. Squeezer Creek is right around 30 acres there on the eastern side of the Sealy Swan Valley. Pot Mountain is just under 500 acres there in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So that really focuses in on our fires across western Montana. We've got a 6-acre fire down here close to the state line west of the Dillon and Clark Canyon Reservoir areas. But I do want to take mention of all of these fires back over into Idaho. Those have seen some pretty significant growth on them through the weekend and into this week. I'm just going to go through these relatively quickly. So the Twin Fire, we're talking just over 300 acres. The Meyer and East fires, we're talking over 630 acres on the East Fire. The Meyer Fire is just under 800 acres. The Good Friday Fire is about 130 acres. Parachute Lake, which is right on the state line in the Bitterroots, that's about 57 acres in size. The Rhoda Creek has probably been the most active of the new fires. It's sitting at over 2,000 acres right now, and the Blacktail, which is pretty close to it, is about 20 acres. The Island Creek Fire we've been talking about for quite a while. That one's just under 11,600 acres. Still the largest fire, the second largest? Yeah, second largest fire within Montana or Idaho at this point. The largest still remains the Big Bear, which has just been slowly growing over 15,000 acres. The Bargaman and Lonely Mountain fires, not a lot of information has been shared with the Bargaman fire, but Lonely Mountain is over 300 acres by itself. And then we have Wapiti Creek and the Waldo Bar fire. Wapiti Creek is sitting at about 514 acres, and the Waldo Bar is about 115 acres just to its west. So a lot of the smoke we've had in the last few days has actually been coming from these fires over into Idaho. The worst of the air quality, fortunately, has stayed over there as well. Places like Grangeville and Koosky had very unhealthy air yesterday, just due to the smoke really settling down into the valleys there in kind of north central or central parts of Idaho. And then we also have the Rock Fire that's over 2,700 acres, almost 2,800 acres at this point. Elkhorn, which is just about 1,625 acres. And the smaller Artillery Fire just to its north, and the Rush Fire there at 7,500 acres. So that's a lot of information all in a quick hurry. I did see that comment from Will, hoping for less smoke over Flathead Lake this weekend. I might have some good news for you. This is something we're going to keep a close eye on. With the moisture that's coming in from the south, this may help to kind of kick down the activity on the fires down into Idaho, southwestern Montana. That moisture isn't going to get too far into northwest Montana, so while we may see the regional fires, the smoke in the air get brought down a little bit, we could still be dealing with some smoke up over Flathead Lake because of just the local fires, especially like the Knowles Fire, if there's still activity on it, the Ransom Fire up towards Libby, depending on the flow in the atmosphere. But I think we will see at least a little bit of improvement area-wide just due to the increased cloud cover, the increased moisture. Both of those will help limit the activity on those wildfires. So a little bit of good news there. Hopefully that is good news that maintains and that holds all the way through the duration of this rainfall event and then into this weekend, even as things start to quiet down just a little bit. So, going into radar here really quick, just wanted to give you kind of a sense of what we're looking at. Most of the region, we have been quiet today. A few spotty showers like we're seeing up here, up near the Sealy Swan Valley, but the majority of this has been down into southwestern Montana. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit closer, show you where some of the heaviest rainfall, more moderate to occasionally heavy rainfall, is really down here west of Dillon, west of Lima. So on 278 here in the direction of towards, it's a little further north than that, but Polaris is up here, back over towards Jackson, Chief Joseph Pass, and Big Hole Pass, where we're seeing some more of that rainfall. Some of this working its way up towards Wisdom, Wise River as well. We did have a few thunderstorms down here towards West Yellowstone earlier on in the day. Those have tapered off for the most part. So really our focus is going to be with this activity for the next probably 1 to 2 hours. And this will be slowly lifting north, so some spotty showers for Phillipsburg, Georgetown Lake, Deer Lodge, Anaconda Butte, as well as towards Three Forks, Pipestone, Cardwell, Whitehall. Some spotty showers tonight can't be ruled out. But this is just the start of the monsoonal moisture. We look back down into Idaho, places like Pocatello. We're seeing a wide amount of rainfall, as well as back over towards Twin Falls, and then even into northern Utah. This is all going to be lifting north, and this is going to be filtering in overnight, but into Wednesday and Thursday as well. So like I said, we're right on the front edge of this monsoonal moisture. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, especially for areas, I would say primarily southwest Montana, but maybe even into parts of west central Montana. We're talking those rain chances anywhere from about 50 to 80%. The further south in the region you are, the more likely you will see some rainfall, maybe even a few thunderstorms over the next couple of days. The exception for this, again, northwest Montana, we may be more in that 10 to 20% chance of a few showers, a few thunderstorms. Most of northwest Montana, I think, will stay dry as we go throughout this. But because of the rainfall that we're expecting, we have flash flood watches here in the lighter green, flood watches in the darker green. This is for Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, and this does include Ravalli County, Beaverhead County, Madison County, as well as portions of Gallatin and Jefferson counties. Whether it's a flood watch or a flash flood watch, really the same impacts are expected. Flood-prone areas, as well as areas for our burn scars. Those are really where we're going to be keeping a close eye. So into Ravalli County, we're talking the Daly, Railroad, Johnson, and Sherritt Creek fire burn scars from last year, where we have already seen some flash flooding issues, debris flows throughout the summer. We have another chance for that tomorrow afternoon and evening. But the newer fires from this year, as well as a few from last year, we're talking into Beaverhead County, there west, north of Wisdom and west of Wise River. We're talking about the Saw Log Fire burn scar, the Grouse Fire. I'm trying to think of a couple of others. I know there's a few up towards Lost Trail Pass as well that we're going to keep a close eye on. But even our new fires from this year, we're talking the Bivens Creek, the Cloud Rest and McAllister fires, as well as even down towards the Horn Fire right there near Reynolds Pass. We could be talking about the issues with the moisture not absorbing into the soil, into those areas where we've had those burns, and essentially just running off, and that could lead to issues with those debris flows, potentially impacting travel if those go across area roadways. But even if those the burn scars, if you kind of get it in the wrong spot, some of that could come down the mountains into, near communities, near homes and stuff like that. So that's what really is our biggest concern when it comes to the flooding aspect of things. So I do want to show one little sort of explainer about why burn scar flooding happens. And this is just kind of a cool little visualization of this. So normally the vegetation in our mountains and our hills, that absorbs the water. It takes it in, it essentially drinks it up. But after the fire, the vegetation is burned, that ash is there on the surface, and it doesn't allow the vegetation to absorb that water. It doesn't get down into the subsoil, essentially. And really all it can do is rush downhill, and that can lead in its own right to those debris flows as it drags some of that material down with it. But even in those flood-prone areas, those low-lying areas, you see that water start to accumulate. So this is really our main concern. But even with some of the thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon and Thursday afternoon, rainfall rates in southwest Montana could be anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches per hour, and these storms are likely not going to be moving very quickly. So if you happen to get underneath one of those stronger cells, you could pick up a half an inch of rain in 20-30 minutes, just depending on how that rainfall rate is and how slowly it's moving. So I wished I could be a little bit more specific on what areas, what communities are going to see that heaviest rain, but it really is just going to be where do those storms develop, and we just kind of have to watch and see how that plays out through the next 48 hours or so. But the general consensus is southwest Montana, you're going to have at least that highest likelihood of that heavy rainfall. So going through a future tracker tonight, I think as we get into tomorrow morning, overnight, we're talking 3 to 7 o'clock, you see some of these yellows and oranges starting to show up from even the southern Bitterroot Valley back down over towards Butte, Dillon, and Lima. We're going to be dealing with at least that potential for heavy rainfall. And that potential for some flooding wouldn't even rule out a few rumbles of thunder overnight as well. Now, this particular model run is a little bit more aggressive with the rainfall into west central Montana than I think most of the models have been. This actually brings some of that rainfall all the way into places like Stevensville, Florence, Missoula maybe, into early tomorrow afternoon. I think really from Hamilton south will have that best chance. So Hamilton over to Butte, Bozeman, and south will be that focus for at least the majority of the rainfall for Wednesday afternoon. But again, this is tracking it a little bit further north into tomorrow as compared to earlier in the day. That has been an ongoing trend, though, and that's something to watch for. Spotty showers near and south, near I-90, even into west central Montana. Can't be ruled out for tomorrow afternoon. As we head into Thursday, that continues to lift further and further north as well, and I think Thursday into Friday gives northwest Montana the best chance for some of those showers. Right now, it still doesn't look like it's going to be particularly widespread, but a few light rain showers, a few sprinkles, maybe even a rumble of thunder can't be ruled out. But still the focus into Thursday morning, southwest Montana, specifically from Bozeman back down to Big Sky and West Yellowstone, with more spotty activity elsewhere across the area. And I think that's really going to be the case for most of Thursday. Models have been trending a little bit faster with getting this moisture out, or at least diminishing it some as we get into Thursday. Something we'll be keeping, again, a close eye on. But some showers in northwest Montana, very spotty in nature. Something we'll watch to see that trend continues and we get a little bit more moisture up there. Focus, again, Butte back over towards Dillon and then east from there for Thursday afternoon. And if this particular model run is correct, maybe by Friday, outside of a few showers lingering on, you see redevelopment back into northwest Montana. We start to see at least a little bit of clearing. I don't think we're going to be completely dry for Friday, but less coverage of the showers as compared to Wednesday and Thursday. But still, we'll take all the moisture we can get. And looking at those rainfall totals, this is a new update too, so the newest model runs have been coming in. You see the brighter colors down here are really for areas south of Interstate 90, where we could be talking anywhere from a half an inch to as much as maybe 2 inches in our higher elevations, and even some higher totals right along the state line with Idaho. But now getting into Thursday evening, maybe talking about a tenth to as much as a quarter of an inch of rainfall. Missoula back down to Butte. Bozeman, that gives you the sense of at least those isolated totals of a half an inch to an inch. I think those are going to be more likely a little bit further south, but still, if you happen to get underneath some of those slow-moving thunderstorms, a quick, half an inch to an inch can't be ruled out. But I think, again, most areas, a tenth to a quarter of an inch will be common along and south of Interstate 90. With this moisture in the area, we're going to be looking at a decent drop in temperatures. We're going to see for Thursday and Friday, most of the region is going to be at, if not a little bit below average, which for this time of the year, we've really seen those average temperatures fall pretty quickly. We're down to 81 degrees for that average high in Missoula. Many other areas, we're talking upper 70s at this point. So we're going to see those temperatures warm back above average Saturday, Sunday into early next week, though it's not going to be significantly above average. We're probably talking low to mid 80s once again for parts of northwest and west central Montana. Places like Butte, we may not even get out of the 70s once all this moisture gets into the area. So that's kind of roughly what we're looking at. But overall, I think as we head into this weekend, we will be looking at quieter conditions. Still some spotty showers, some weak thunderstorms with some leftover lingering moisture can't be ruled out. But overall, the heavy rainfall that we're expecting over the next 24 to 48 hours should be out of our region. And I think mostly clear to partly cloudy skies are expected with those warming temperatures. And I think that'll continue to be the case for at least the first part of next week, though maybe by the end you saw that drop in temperatures. On the 10-day forecast, I'll spin that back around. There may be another storm system that starts to work in back into that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame, but we've got a week plus to take a look at that. So, again, if you have a quick last question, feel free to ask those. I do want to just show those flash flood and flood watches one last time. Flood watch, these are for Wednesday afternoon and evening. We've got the flood watch for Ravalli County, as well as the flash flood watch for much of southwestern Montana. Main impact will be that heavy rainfall. Could see rainfall rates and the heaviest thunderstorms 1 to 2 inches. Bird and scar flooding will be our greatest concern. So thank you all for tuning in this evening. Tune into our live broadcast tonight here, coming up in about half an hour for the latest news and weather updates. And then tomorrow morning, join Jason Hurst and Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster for the latest updates and if there's any adjustments to those flash flood watches. And then if you have any photos or videos of the fires we've recently seen, the smoke in the air, even the rainfall we may see over the next couple of days, and if you happen to see any flooding, things of that nature, share those photos with us or those videos with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in, and you might see them on air and online. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great and safe Tuesday evening, and I'll see you all on the next one of these, which may be tomorrow, maybe more likely into Thursday. We'll just see how everything plays out with this very beneficial monsoonal moisture rolling into western Montana. So thanks for tuning in. So until next time, have a great one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coombs.